Okay, this is the Sojet Elfin 1 printer. It's basic. This one is actually the handheld version of the basic printer, which is everything from here up and minus the wheels and the encoder. We're going to show you how to create a message using the touchscreen on this, which by my opinion is a lot easier to use than some of the other brands that are out there that use other kind of control methods. This one here, to start out with, this is your home screen right here. You have some information down the right side. When you put in an ink cartridge, we'll put one in right now. We're going to put in the solvent-based ink cartridge in here. It simply is placed in like you would any other machine. Flip up the tab, and it's now in there, and you'll now see that that's gone to green. All this information here is readily available during the operation of the printer. We're going to create a message now. It's going to be basic text, nothing fancy. We're not going to do any expiry dates or anything like that, date and time or anything like that. Just a basic message. What we want it to do as well is we want this kind of information. This is a number of the messages of the same one. I just want to do one of them, but with that kind of information that's in there. It's just text. So we will go into message and we will select new. With new here, we now will be able to select any number of data to put in it, including text, manufacturing dates, expiry dates, logos, counters, shift codes, barcodes, you name it. You can do anything you want. You can also down here give it a name, and I'll give it a name right now, as a matter of fact. Before we do the data, let's just change the name. It says message 04 right now. I want to clean that. So by pressing clean over here, you can get rid of all the data that's there, and it gets rid of it completely. I'm going to call this ends farms. So we'll just do that. Add the S in there, and we're good. So I'm just going to take away the keyboard, and we're back to where we were. You see now it says ends farms down there. That's the message we're going to be creating. So we're just going to add some text. The first text that we have here is going to be just a little bit less than a ½ inch. If you notice the size of the text right now, that wordage there, you'll see on the side there's actually little marks that tick off. That's a ½ inch. It's a total ½ inch height. I want it to be a bit small, so 208 is a ½ inch high. So let's make it about 175, and then we'll see how it shrinks it down a little bit. So I just have to press on the 208 there. Now I'm going to clean out that 208, remove it all by doing that, and then we'll just put in 175. And as you add the numbers, you're going to see the code up here starting to get a little bit bigger and bigger and bigger as we go. At 17, you can now see it's very small there, and when we hit the 5, it's going to be that. And you'll see that we've lost about 1/8 of an inch or so, maybe not quite even that, out of the ½ inch, sorry, of text, and it has shrunk down a little bit. We're going to use that. I think that's good. So now we're just going to get rid of the keyboard and go back to our other selections. So get rid of the keyboard. We can now change the data. This box here is the data box, and you can put in there whatever you like. The numbers that we have up here, I'm just going to copy them off of this piece of paper right here. So it basically is press on where it says text, and we'll just do a clean function on that as well, and that's going to get rid of all the text that's currently in there. And it'll be very simple to add in what we want to now. So we're just going to hit S, because this is right here is what we want to add to it, this entire number here. So we're going to do S, then we want to go to numbers, so we're going to go down here to the numbers box. And now you've noticed that everything's changed to numbers and some characters and symbols. We're just going to do 0, 0, 7, and there's a little minus sign there or a dash, and then we have to go back to letter and to Y, and then go back to number again, and 4. And you can now see that down here you can see what it is that you're typing. Here the screen shows what it is you're doing, but it will not scroll as you're going, so it's going to end here. As I continue to go on, the numbers will be going off of the side of the printer over here. But you can see what it is that you're doing to verify that you have it correct by looking at the data box down here. So I'm going to add in a couple spaces. There's one space, there's two spaces. Now I'm going to put in 0791. Here's 0791. Now 1200. 1200. 5687. 5687. That's the complete amount of data. You can see that it's the same as what we have written here. That data is all in there as we want it. So let's just get rid of the keyboard again. And that's already in the message now. It's waiting to be saved. We can add some other numbers to it as well. There's a set of 3 numbers here that I need to add into this, but we don't want it the same size. We don't want it at that same font size of 175. We now want to make it at something more like about 90. So let's just add in something over on the side here, so you can actually delete some elements and you can add elements. So we want to add another element, basically just another text element. So let's press the add. We'll press text again. And now we're back to this similar box again. And now we're going to choose our font size. This time we're going to clean out 208 and we're going to go down to, I said 90, right? So there's 90. And you'll see that now it's a little bit smaller than a 1/4 inch. It's just slightly under a 1/4 inch, which is exactly where we want to be. So I'll clear that out. And now we have to go down here and change the data. We don't want it to say text example. So we're going to clean that. And our number is 6950. So let's go to number here. 6950. And you'll see that it's adding it onto our last bit of data that we had. We are going to want to move a little bit of gap in here. And that's, I guess we'll do that later once we get rid of the keyboard. It won't let me do it now, but once we get rid of the keyboard, it'll allow me to move it and drag and drop. So we're going to put in 4 spaces between that. And we're going to put in 22.75. So there's 22.75. And we're going to add in another 4 spaces. And then we're going to add in 2450. 2450. And you can verify here that everything is there. Now once we get rid of that, now you can see the entire message. And you'll notice that just like on a Windows computer, you can scroll this bar across. I'm just going to press it to move it over. And you can see that it is crowding here. That 6950 is crowding it. So by pressing on it and just holding it, and then just sliding it over a little bit, you can actually create the gap that you want and space it out a little bit. So that is the entire message. At this point, we're just going to press return. And by pressing return, it's going to save the message into the printer on file, as a file. Do you want to save the message? Yes. It says saving, and now it's loading it, and you'll see here ends farms is now one of the messages that you can edit, and over here you can modify it or import it somewhere else, or you can make a new message again or whatever. This is all the editor. So if I go out of here, message, that is basically a message editor. So when you go into editing, you can either edit, add, subtract, delete, make a new one, whatever you like. By pressing return here, it goes back to the home screen, and this is the home screen. So how do you get to print this thing? Well, you go into printing, and now you can choose the message. You'll see that I have a number of messages in here. We have all kinds of different things in here that we've put in. So all those different messages, you just go find the message you want, and they will be in alphanumeric order. Once you shut the printer off and turn it back on, they all come back in alphanumeric order. Right now it's at the bottom of the list because that's the last place I put it. So I'm just going to choose ends farms, and there it is. Another thing that we can do at this point is also set a delay. Now let's just hit start, and now it's ready to go. Basically all I'd have to do on this handheld version is press the button, the trigger button, and slide it across whatever you want to slide across, a box or a bag or whatever it happens to be that you want to put the code onto. But I might want to change the delay. Oh, it says cartridge empty. Well, that's not true. I don't know where that came from. But in the you can set the delay. Right now it's set at 1.2. I want to change the, and that's in inches right here right now. That's what I chose in settings to put it as inches. So 1.2 inches. So when I press the button, it's going to wait 1.2 inches before it begins to print. I want it to print immediately. So I'm going to just press on that. We get this familiar screen again. We're going to clean out that. I'm going to add a 0 because I want 0. And then I am going to press the keyboard out of the way. And now it's going to ask me, okay. So, okay, I want 0. And it's saving it. And there it is. Now I can also stop the message from here. This is also where you would stop it, so that if you press the trigger at this point, when you press stopping and it's now stopped, I can press the trigger down here, slide it across, and nothing happens. Press start again. We're now in start mode. Let me grab a piece of paper here. You'll see here on the wells at the end, these are the nozzles of the cartridge. You'll also notice that there's an indentation here. This whole slot is all indented from the nozzle so that when you do print and you're sliding it across something, it won't smudge the code and cause it so that it's unreadable. It will actually allow the code to flow freely through the movement of the printer. So I'm just going to line up these kind of like right at the beginning of this piece of paper right here. And I'm going to pull the trigger. So I pull the trigger, nothing's going to happen right now until I start to move. As I start to move, that's when the code starts to appear. And that is the code as it would appear. Now you can also adjust this code and go in and edit it. You can space these wider. If you had like certain little windows that each one of these numbers had to fit into, for instance, let's say this was a weight and this was let's say some kind of a count. You could have, and you had little places that are already there existing that says count, weight. You can adjust the spacing between all of that so that it'll fit properly in those windows without any issue. Anyways, this is how you would create a message using the Sojet Elfin 1 handheld in this particular case, but the same thing is with the regular version as well. Anyways, to return back to your home screen and turn the off button, and that's all there is to it for this printer.